What's up, everyone? My name is Jalen Lomax, and I'm accompanied by Jack. We are both students at Illinois Tech and will serve as the moderators for today's event. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Vic Mensa. Vic is a Chicago native, Grammy nominated hip hop recording artist and co founder of the Save Money, Save Life Foundation. Before we begin, I'd like to also use this time to acknowledge one of our silver sponsors, P33. Embracing Chicago's innovation roots, P33 is the catalyst for fostering better connections between Chicago stakeholders and the global tech and innovation community to facilitate economic growth. Now back to the event. Vic, we're super excited to have you here. Please introduce yourself to the crowd and explain a little bit about your foundation.
Peace, y'all. My name is Vic Mensa. I'm an artist from the south side of Chicago, Hyde Park to be exact. Um, I have a nonprofit organization called SMSL that's founded in 2018. And our overall mission is, to use art and technology and indigenous methods to foster sustainable change. You know what I mean?
So when you talk about using art and technology, when you were thinking about this and when Save Money, Save Life was in its beginning stages, what made that become the focus?
Um, we've always been solution oriented. You know what I'm saying? And much of our programming has manifested and materialized through addressing needs. You know what I'm saying? So one of the first programs that we started doing um, is a program called Street Medics, where we train and equip first responders in Chicago's most violent areas. And you know what I mean. So we're addressing a need. Science is another thing that I forgot to mention. Um,
Mhm.
part of like just a STEAM approach. You know what I mean. Um, and uh, yeah, we started the Street Medics program in 2018, training and equipping first responders, teaching kids and camp counselors and teachers how to address gunshot wounds using everyday items, maybe a school ID or a do rag to create a tourniquet. And it's just addressing the need. The situation we find ourselves in is that there's a lot of gun violence in Chicago, and so we look and we figure out how can we help to address the need of the people.
Mhm. So you touched upon gun violence. Are there any other problems that you guys feel like you've come up with solutions for, or problems that you guys are currently trying to come up with solutions for?
Yeah, 100%. And something you know, that I'd like to make clear is that, man, it takes a village. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And there's no such thing as one single final solution,
Yeah.
for these multi-layered generational problems in Chicago, or anywhere for that matter. But other things that we've been heavily focused on, um, we've been working to combat homelessness. Um, we've been constantly engaged in, just working against police brutality and police exploitation of the community. And sometimes in doing that, we find to uh, new ways to help the community. One of our biggest events that we've done was called the anti-bait truck, and we did it in response to a bait truck that was brought through the Inglewood community, kind of escorted by the police, and filled with Air Force Ones. And the truck was left unlocked to catch people stealing. So in response, we gave out 15,000 pairs of shoes in that same community 10 days later, and since then have been doing you know shoe giveaway events, um, and helping in that way. So that really came as a result of addressing police misconduct,
Right.
but
Right.
became something bigger than that.
Hmm. Tell us more about how you got to this point in your life and what helped you like grow and lead to become an activist? Because I know as an artist, you have almost always been spoken and vocal about like oppression systematically and stuff. I know you have that song that came out with Chance, Shelter, which has some pretty heavy subject matter. But what point in your life were you like, okay, like instead of just talking about it, I also want to have tangible action with it as well?
It just has a process of maturing, man. Growing older, um, coming from Chicago and being somebody that has been given so much by the city.
Hmm.
And at every turn, I had people that were in my corner in the city. In different parts of the culture. From the fashion world and leaders and Corey Gilkey and Joe Freshgoods and Vic Lloyd and Sir and Madam and Brian and Autumn and just so many different people in different ways that took care of me when I became the same age that they were when they were taking care of me when I was 12. I'm like, I got to pay it forward.
Right. So it's kind of just like a cycle of, learning from what people have done for you, and kind of doing the same in return to whoever's next in line.
Just keeping the energy going because, um, like the people I mentioned, they weren't necessarily doing that I knew of, like community activism, but they were in particular, specifically, helping kids like me and guiding us. You know what I mean? So it's like keeping that energy going. And as I grew into, my own artistry and the things I was speaking about and the things I was doing in the world, I realized that I could magnify them by making an organization and having some structure and some collaboration to
Mhm.
to make my ideas bigger. It's always been about ideas for me. It's just ideation, whether I'm ideating through music or I'm ideating through activism or film. It's just about bringing ideas to life for me.
Right. What are some of the core values of the Save Money Save Life team that you think you all share?
Um, I would say a dedication to justice, um,
Hmm.
and education. And like combating miseducation. I don't know if I would say that if that's a value, but I think that we are very aware as Americans that we live in a very toxic culture of miseducation. You know what I'm saying? Myself being African American and um, my co-founder, she's Native American, and both of our backgrounds, are filled with erasure. Um, that's what America does. America will have you believe that African history begins with slavery, ends with the civil rights movement, and America has completely tried to erase the Native Americans. Um, and so we we try to tell true stories, you know what I mean, and recreate the narrative because the narrative that's been given to our people has been, um, miseducation.
Hmm. Would you say that's your why? Like the foundations, the reason why, the reason you put this all into play, and the reason your team is doing this work every day is to change that narrative?
For me, yeah, my purpose is to bring truth to the people, and so whether that's music or that's activism with the foundation, that's why I do what I do.
Hmm. When it comes to educating other people and helping other people, do you have any advice for people that want to take action if they might have limited resources, like where they could start? because systematic oppression can be
I
very
lost
overwhelming.
you a
Yeah, go
little
ahead.
bit, but I think I got the drift of the question. I was about educate yourself. You know what I mean? Um, that's step one. And school is school is great, but it's not always the end all be all of education. I uh, I left high school. You know what I'm saying? I completed high school, but I didn't pursue further schooling. I
Hmm.
come from an educator background, but most of my education has come on my own, just by reading and by dedicating myself to learning. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's your step one is to educate yourself. Um, and if you aren't sure exactly of how to do that, we have the internet, so um, ignorance is definitely a choice at this point in time. But something that something that I've often done is I've studied people that I look up to, and from there, seeing what they study. You know what I mean? So I'm studying Malcolm X. I'm studying Huey Newton. Maybe studying Huey Newton sends me to go study Marxism or Black Marxism, um, and you know Marcus Garvey, and dissect the people that influenced the brilliant minds that I admire.
Hmm. Okay. Um, what was your biggest inspiration? Like you talk about these big figures and minds that you learn from. Do you draw inspiration from them, or is there someone more personal in your life that kind of inspired you to lead this life of activism?
Um, I would definitely say Malcolm X. Malcolm X autobiography is a book that really pushed me. That was introduced to me by my big sister Asha Monet, who's been another person that has been instrumental in my growth. And my parents, my father is just a genius PhD professor that's always pushed me to think differently about things. And my mom is pretty radical. So both of them always led me to question authority. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe more than they would have liked,
Right.
but that's how it went down.
That's interesting to me. So you said you didn't pursue uh, like education after high school, but your dad, he has a PhD and is a professor. What was his reaction to that, and what you wanted to do?
I've been blessed in that my pops has been really supportive of me. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
he's African, so African fathers, they can be very strict.
Yeah.
Um, but my father's been very supportive of things I wanted to do. I kind of had things going for myself. You know what I mean? When I was in high school and had record labels flying me places, and so they realized that it was a real thing. But but still, I'm very grateful for the fact that my family has always been supportive of my choices.
Hmm. What's the hope for yourself um, when it comes to activism and the future of Save Money, Save Life? Like for future endeavors, where do you hope this leads you?
Just bigger impact, man. Bigger ideas, manifestation of bigger ideas. It's like I've got some gigantic ideas as it stands right now, and I'd like to see them come to fruition, and I
Hmm.
will see them come to fruition. Um, and everything that we've been doing has been, um, taking steps in the right direction. You know what I mean? And so I'd like to see us just continue and to elevate.
Would you care to share any of those big ideas?
Hell yeah. um, you know what the goal of the Street Medics program actually um, has been to create a privatized ambulance force
Okay.
in our communities, in the vein of what Hasidic Jewish communities have done around the nation, um, where they have their own ambulances in their communities. You know what I mean? Because we deal with ambulance response times that are so much more in our neighborhoods. So I've had the goal to create a privatized ambulance fleet. Um, another thing that another concept that we've been talking about is a mass employment campaign. In summer Chicago. What does it look like if we employ everyone between the ages of 14 and 24 in all of Chicago's hotspot neighborhoods? What does it look like if there's 100% employment um, in that kind of at-risk age bracket and in those communities? Another thing that I'm working on right now is delegation, like bringing kids from Chicago, from the South Side of Chicago, to Africa and vice versa, to Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to to show them something drastically different and show them a world of larger possibilities, which is kind of in the vein of a program we've been talking about for a while called Universe. Um, so those are some of the bigger ideas that we're working on right now.
When it comes to activism, as someone who does community service myself, like I feel like there's just so much to try to tackle and conquer. How do you zone in and focus on these very specific things without kind of feeling like, oh, like what about this? This is just as important as this. How do I decide? How would people decide? Do you have any advice in terms of that?
I mean, I think you find collaborators, man. Find people that you can work with,
Hmm.
and different collaborators are going to gravitate towards different projects. You know what I mean? It'll make the most sense for different projects, and so I try to align with people. I tell people about the ideas that I have, and align with people who may resonate with one of those ideas. I met a guy the other day who's a veteran, you know, and so he really aligns with the street medics program because he's been in an active combat zone. Um, and honestly, Chicago is an active combat zone. I was
Right.
watching a documentary about Somalia last night, and the Somalia is like war torn right now, but the amount of people that are dying from terror attacks is, the amount of people that are dying from gun violence in Chicago in a year. Um, the numbers equate. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so he gravitates towards that idea. So I'm working with him on that. I have a big homie named Daniel Ash, who I've been talking to about this mass employment campaign. Um, I see somebody ask a question about how my trip to Palestine informed my work as an organizer. Um, it impacted what I'm talking about right now. The idea for the street medics program that we do in Chicago, I got from being in Palestine because I met a kid who was an organizer with a group called Build Palestine in Gaza, and Gaza is a city under siege. And in Gaza, the ambulances, you know, don't come. Access to medical resources and treatment is slim to none. And it reminded me a lot of home, when I was talking to him about it. And he told me that they had X amount of dollars and they trained, Y amount of people
Hmm.
and equipped them in first response. So I was like, that sounds like it would really work back at the crib. So I took that idea from Palestine, from the person I met in Palestine.
Okay. Someone else asked, at what moment do you think you found your purpose? That's a big one.
Um, the moment that I recall, like having the language for my purpose was I was doing a Peruvian spirit medicine called ayahuasca, and yeah, it came to me. That's a whole different type of conversation, though.
All right. Um, so you spoke about the bigger long-term goals you have on a larger scale. Is there anything you guys are doing sooner or on a smaller scale that people could help volunteer? Like if someone here is watching and they say, I want to get involved with Save Money, Save Life, is there anything that's happening, now or sooner that
Yeah,
could play a
yeah,
role in?
yeah, no doubt. This Friday, we're gonna be delivering, distributing 50,000 pounds of food. Um, so you know what I mean. You could go to our Instagram, Save Money, Save Life on Instagram, and I'm sure the information will be up there with how you can get involved.
Hmm. Okay, that's great. Um, what's something that people would be surprised to learn when pursuing a life of activism? Like, is there anything you felt like was different in terms of, oh, like I thought this would be harder, or I thought this would be easier?
In the activism space, man, I guess I at times have been a little bit um, surprised at the amount of ego egoic bickering that exists
Okay.
in that. Activism beef is real, man. It's the beef is definitely real. You know what I'm saying? And so that could be a little bit like that could be disheartening sometimes, but I'm blessed in that like I do this because I care. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's not like how I sustain myself. Um, and it's just a learning process of realizing that it's like coming into a space where people to dedicate their lives to work often for um, very little thanks and reward and attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then when you come in with a level of celebrity and things like that, um, you can kind of take up the shine, and people get upset about that. So it's just been a process of me learning to just like defer attention and shed light on the people that deserve it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when you talk about um, activism beef, you mean like
Real.
people who might have the same goal or like are pursuing the same thing in activism? There might be conflict there.
Oh yeah, for sure,
That
definitely.
seems very counterintuitive, especially
It's goofy.
yeah.
It's goofy for sure. It's goofy, but it's also like, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And it's like the real lesson to be learned from it is to to shed light on people that are doing good work. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
People that don't always shine is to just, at every turn, every opportunity, try to throw that shine on them.
Okay. We have another question in the chat. It says, as a Black founder scaling a tech startup at the intersection of data, music, and finance, how can I get in touch to give you some insight on the way that could positively impact the future?
Um, Man, I could put an email in here that y'all could reach out to if anybody wants to holler at us. Let me see what's Carly's email. Carly Belt at I'll write it right here. Can I write it here? C Belt, save money, ORG.
Perfect. That's awesome. So yeah, whoever asked that question, just reach out to her. I'm sure she'll get back when she can. You can help Vic uh, with whatever you feel like you can. Um, Well, we're getting towards the end of our time together. I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with the crowd today. Um, like Vic said, he could put the Instagram in the chat. So if you guys want to help with the food distribution this Friday, you can do that. You can just check out the Save Money, Save Life Foundation in general. You can read up on the anti-bait trucks. I know they have an article about that. They have a pretty cool video as soon as you log in. So yeah, just drop the Instagram handle in the chat and make sure everybody checks that out before we end here.
No doubt.
Yeah, so I'd like to encourage the audience members to take a quick 30-minute break, but then later head on over to our next event, Product Management. It's titled Not Every Feature is a Priority. This event will happen at 2 p.m. in one of the sessions, and in order to get there, you can click Session on the left-hand side of the screen. So So thank you so much, Vic. We're so grateful for your time.
All right, appreciate you, man.